We meet here to honour and celebrate the life of Yoshio Joseph Nomura, known as Joey, or Joey Rubber to his friends, and to bring consolation to those of his family and friends who are here today. Unfortunately, Joey's parents are unable to be here with us from their home in Japan, but I'm sure their thoughts are with you all. This ceremony will take the form of a celebration of life service, which is in keeping with Joey and his family's wishes. It is therefore much more than a leave-taking. It is the celebration of a life that is ended. Death is a very personal matter when it happens to someone close to us, but we are all concerned, directly or indirectly, with the death of any individual, for we are all members of one community, and not one of us is independent or separate. Though some of the links are strong and some are tenuous, each of us is joined to all the others by links of kinship, love, friendship, by living in the same neighbourhood or town or country, or simply by our own humanity. No one should be afraid of death itself. It is as natural as life, and only nature is permanent. All that has life has its beginning and its end, and life exists in the time span between birth and death. For those of us who believe that death brings the end of individual existence, life's significance lies in the memories of those who knew us and any influences that we may have left behind. I have selected the following poem as I believe it reflects Joey's personality, and this poem is entitled Afterglow. Joey would like the memory of him to be a happy one. He'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles now his life is done. He'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. He'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories that he leaves now his life is done. Unfortunately, I did not have the privilege of having known Joey personally. However, I heard a little about his life and his personality, which I would like to share with you all. Joey was born on the 25th of September, 1970, in Yokohama, Japan, to parents Takeo and Kanuko Nomura, and he shared a very happy childhood with his older brother, Sashio. Joey and his brother were very close as youngsters and teenagers, and although their lives took different paths and miles often separated them, they always kept in touch, and they both knew that they would be there for one another if ever the need arose. Not one of us, unless we have experienced it, could possibly understand the pain felt on losing a child at whatever age, and our thoughts are very much with Joey's parents, as well as with Stephen and Sashio today. At 6 years of age, Joey's family moved to Nomura, and this is where Joey went to school. He was a bright boy, and as a youngster, he had excelled in swimming. At 18 years of age, Joey travelled to America and went to the Pratt Institute in New York, where he studied graphic art, and he did extremely well. On completing his education at 21 years of age, Joey took a job working for a porn magazine, where he was responsible for enhancing the ladies' breasts and removing their spots and warts from film. This was, of course, not Joey's ideal environment, and he went on to work for Barnes & Noble, where he did computer-based work, part of which was to design their website. Whilst doing this job, Joey was also working as a dancer in the web club. I understand he was a fantastic mover, and when Joey danced, people just stood to watch. He had also done some television work as a support actor, and had been in Law and Order and Sex and the City several times. He derived a great deal of pleasure from auditions, and he was born to tread the boards, a real trooper. This young man had also attended bar school, the same one featured in the film Cocktail. I am given to understand that Joey made a mean cocktail, but throwing of bottles was banned from the house. He had also worked at the Japan Centre for a couple of years, But whatever Joey undertook, he always gave it 100%. But if he didn't succeed in something, he never let it get him down. When living in New York, Joey worked in a leather and rubber shop called Moose. His ambition was to have his own online sex shop, dealing mainly in leather and rubber. Joey had his own rubber business in America, Joey's Gear, and I am told that this young man lived for rubber and sex. And he once travelled from New York to Seattle on a bus just to have sex. How's that for determination? In 2000, Joey was going to make his way to London, initially to stay with his very good friend Ken. But sadly, Ken died suddenly before Joey arrived, and losing his dear friend had devastated Joey. But he was to find happiness in his life when he met Stephen 6 years ago in the Gummy Club, whilst on holiday in the UK. There was an instant attraction and a friendship developed. Joey returned to the States, but returned a year later, and the friends met up again. Over time, their friendship developed, and it was at Gay Pride that they decided to become a couple and commenced a very close and loving relationship. They were a devoted couple who complemented each other perfectly, and they worked as a team to build a home together. They also worked together on Peak London, another rubber enterprise was launched. Joey could see that if he didn't help his partner, then the business was not going to happen. As a couple, they had enjoyed going to the Gummy Club, usually once a month, and when they would both somehow manage to find their way home from King's Cross, despite having indulged in their fair share of alcohol. They had also enjoyed going to rubber clubs all over Europe, when great times were always ensured. Berlin was a favourite destination of them both, and a trip planned for this spring is sadly not to be. Stephen and Joey took a trip to America, and on New Year's Day went to the top of the Empire State Building. Unfortunately, the world and his wife all deemed to go there too, and it took them 5 hours to reach the top. Once there, Stephen bent down on one knee and proposed to Joey, opening a ring box containing what else but a rubber ring to seal their love for one another. Joey happily accepted the proposal when they went ahead with a civil partnership ceremony in July 2006. Joey had been a tremendous support and comfort to Stephen and his mother Anne when Stephen's father died in February this year, and although sadly cut short, they have been very fortunate to have known true love, and our hearts go out to Stephen today. Joey was a very sociable person who made friends easily and was liked by all that met him, which is very evident here today. He had a charisma that made people warm to him, and he could brighten up a room just by walking into it. I am told that to know Joey was to love him, and everyone who knew him did just that. Joey was the centre of every party, but Stephen was always there watching over him to make sure that he was okay. Joey loved a party and clubs, and he also enjoyed a glass or two of cider, and had been rather partial to champagne. He was a very generous man who would have helped anyone out if he could, and he was very practical. He was a very practical person and very generous in spirit. When it came to hobbies, Joey loved to watch cookery programs on the television, and he was in his element experimenting with cookery. He loved a gadget and had amassed a great deal of them, but like most of us, he usually bought them, used them once, and then they ended up in the cupboard, forgotten. Like the fondue set and the pineapple corer. Joey had wanted a copper-bottom frying pan, and Stephen saw one reduced to half price at Sainsbury's. Joey decided he didn't like it, so Stephen took it back to find that it had been reduced even further. So he brought it home again, after telling the shop assistant that if he had to bring it back again, it would have Joey's face imprinted on it.